Welcome to
Math with the Morgans.
I'm Jonathan Morgan.
And I'm Morgan Pittman.
You are wearing the same clothes. We're wearing the same clothes in these last two videos.
We've been stuck at school quarantined.
Oh,
Just kidding.
yeah.
We're just making all these videos on one day.
Yeah.
While you guys are at home doing distant learning, we are still at school.
Which I hope you're doing.
You better be.
Yeah, I hope so. So what we're going to be talking about today are graphing inequalities. Earlier in the year, we've talked about inequalities, correct?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. But we're going to be adding two more inequalities to this. I'm not really sure if you've seen these before, but it looks something like this with a little line underneath it. And then it looks like this. So this one is greater than or equal to. That's what that little line means. And then this one means less than or equal to. Okay? But
We'll get there.
We'll get there in just a minute. But
right.
Just to give you a little introduction to them. But it's going to tell us to graph this inequality of x is greater than 1. So how do I go about doing that?
Alright, so 1, I'm going to plot 1, don't you think?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Alright, I'm going to plot 1 with an open circle. Okay? And it's telling me x is greater. So 3 and 2 on my number line here are all the numbers that are greater than 1. So, Mr. Morgan, I'm going to draw a line going in that direction. And I can substitute in 2. Is 2 greater than 1?
Yeah.
Is 3 greater than 1?
Yeah. Is 4?
Is 0 greater than 1?
No, it's less than.
So the arrow always has to make this inequality true. They have to match. So you have to think about it a little bit.
Now let's talk about that open circle for a minute. Because remember, sometimes we see this on the number line where they fill in the circle.
Right.
But this one's not filled in, it's open. The reason why it's open, guys, is because 1 is not included in this problem. Is 1 greater than 1? No. 1 is equal to 1, correct? So that means 1 cannot be your answer to there. That's why it's an open circle. But we have to plot this circle on 1 because that's what it tells us to do. All right, so let's do another one.
Let's just do it down below.
Yeah, sure. So we're going to do x is less than 1. And while she's drawing this graph out, remember, most of you have probably heard of the alligator mouth is facing to whichever one's greater. And it's still the same. So in this case, x is going to be less than 1. That means 1 is the biggest number in this problem.
Okay. So we're still at 1.
Right.
It's open because it's
circle.
not going to include that number.
Right.
All right. But now I want x to be less than 1. So I know that 0 is less than 1 and negative 1. So this time my arrow is going to go this way.
So this arrow is telling us that it's going all the way to the left, all the way until negative infinity. So your answers can be from 0 all the way to negative infinity. Right. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. All right.
And again, open circle because 1's not included in the answer. Okay? So let's do another one. Let's just do, you want to stick with 1?
Yeah.
Now let's introduce these new signs. X is greater than or equal to 1.
All right, so this is where that circle changes because now the x can be 1. It can be equal to 1. So instead of having an open circle, I'm going to make a closed circle because 1, if I plug in 1 right here, it will answer the question or the inequality. 1 is equal to 1. All right, so that's the only thing I do different on my graph is an open or closed circle when I have that. But now I need to go back and think about this again. I want x to be greater than 1.
So that means you're going to be pointing your arrow to the right. Because the number, if you point to the right on the number line, your numbers are getting bigger.
Right, so 2 is greater than 1.
Right, 3 is
greater than 1.
And 1 is included in my answer because 1 is greater than or equal to, that's what this little line means here, equal to 1. So 1 is included in my answer, and I really like that. if you need some help, look back up here. This is the greater than symbol. Which way was it pointing? It was pointing to the right. So let's do x. Remember, x is our variable. Okay, it can stand for any number. Is less than or equal to.
Let's
1.
make it not 1 this
All
time.
right, let's do.
The 2.
Sure, or we could have done -1. Don't matter.
Because
do
it
2.
doesn't always have to be 1. The
Yeah.
variable does not always have to be x.
Yes.
All right, so now instead of plotting on the 1, I'm going to plot on the 2.
Okay.
And it needs to be a closed circle.
Because 2 is,
It could be equal to.
yeah, it's less than or equal to 2. So,
All right, so x is less than 2. I know negatives are going to be less.
so if we're going less and we're getting smaller, correct?
Yes.
So that means I need to go left on my number line, correct? So if it's greater, you're getting bigger, correct? So you're going to be pointing right. If it's less than, you're going to be pointing left because you're getting smaller.
So when you do these, you just really need to slow down and think about it.
Yeah.
They're not complicated. There's not a whole lot of calculating here. You just need to think about it. Which
Yeah.
numbers would make the inequality true? Which way do I need to draw the answer? Because
Yes.
if you speed up, do this too fast, you can make some very careless mistakes.
Very small mistakes, and then it just escalates from there. So, but one thing that you could probably practice is looking at these symbols and say open or closed. I know this is going to be open because it's not equal to. Okay, so we'll have some practice on that.
Right.
So hope that was a help to you guys.
We'll see you on the flip side.
See ya.